Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed, baby. Now, right? Hey, in lieu of the big fight coming up, Terence Bud Crawford versus Canelo Cinnamon Alvarez, the face of boxing. That's a big one coming up. So we're gonna talk some smack about it. You got a lot of stuff going on, and I got to say, but I keep saying, for me, Terence Crawford has already won. His profile has risen a lot. All the casual fans seem to understand what's going on now. They know how good he is. They've heard boxing Hall of Famers talk about him. Now, you're going to hear the noise from the internet. But when you sit back and you keep watching these boxing Hall of Famers and these trainers, giving Crawford a chance, to beat Canelo Alvarez, who a casual fan knows, well, this is the face of boxing. How are they saying that this little guy, he's moving up in weight? How is he saying, they saying that he's going to win? And I'm talking about some of boxing's all-time greats are talking about it. Roy Jones, James Toney and the likes, Bernard Hopkins, all these people, are giving Terence Crawford a big chance of beating him, some even by knockout. We're just talking about Deontay Wilder. Zab Judah says by knockout. Shannon Briggs by knockout. Teddy Atlas is saying, man, he ain't never going against Crawford. Somebody got to prove it. Andre Ward. I mean, just the cream de la cream of boxing saying he has a chance. Now, when you look at these Fox News of Boxing, for example, Boxing News 24, who I'm going to, stay on until I see anything different with their commentary and how they present articles, they're not going to say anything positive, but they sound extremely casual themselves. Or it's just, they want to be misleading and, I hate to say it, racist. Straight up. This is what it is. And we got to deal with that. It's New Russia, so that's what they got to deal with it because it's obviously a demand for that kind of thing. So, you don't supply something if there's not a demand for it. You know what I mean? So if it's a demand for just this ridiculousness, remember I was talking about how Boxing News 24 was saying, hey, look, because this is what really irks them. And I've told you guys before, same thing about Demetrius Andrade and Canelo Alvarez, that undisputed fight that couldn't happen. Because the bottom line is, what if it does happen? Then we have Demetrius Andrade as the undisputed middleweight champion. We can't have that, so we'll do all to not make it happen. What irks places and people like Boxing News 24 or Fox News of Boxing is, let's not have that fight happen. Because if we have that fight happen, we got to start calling Terence Crawford things that we don't want to call him. Like GOAT, like greatest of all time, like the best of this era without a doubt. All of those things that we're not trying to do. Boxing is BTBG. And yeah, you got it right, my brother. That's exactly what it is. Everybody knows what that is. And because of that, we ain't trying to have it. Now, here's a site that's talking about boxing every day. Negative, of course, but talking about it every day, which means they should have knowledge, right? So they're knowledgeable of what they're doing and what they're supplying you with. So you got Terence Crawford moving up in weight, right? From 147, two-time undisputed. Everybody knows that Terence Crawford, while he was undisputed, before he was fighting Errol Spence to become undisputed at welterweight, he was trying to get who? Jermell Charlo, the undisputed 154-pound champion. That's who he was focused on. Why was he focused on him? Because he was undisputed. And he was the obvious baddest one. So did Terence Crawford shy away from that guy? No. So what happens quickly, and what does the boxing community want to do? Let's let Jermell Charlo and Canelo. Canelo didn't have to fight Jermell Charlo. There was Benavidez right there. There was David Morrell right there. Mandatories that he supposed to had fought. But we know it's the WBC, and we know what time it is with them, so they never forced him to do it. So if things would have went right, we would have never had a Canelo and Terence Crawford. We would have had a Jermell Charlo and Terence Crawford, which people should have wanted to see. And Terence Crawford could have been trying to go for someone easy, or like a tune-up, like Boots Ennis is doing right now. As awesome as Boots Ennis is, talking about tune-up, just one division higher. That's not what Terence Crawford rolls. So he's trying to go up, fight who's the baddest one. That was Jermell Charlo at the time. Hurry up and let Jermell Charlo fight Canelo, and then the titles are fragmented all over the place, so he can't get it. And Canelo's so far up, he ain't gonna do that. But you're dealing with Terence Crawford, so okay, Canelo, I'll go way up here messing with you. That's the only reason we got this fight. But Boxing News 24 is like, Canelo won't fight Morrell. Canelo won't fight Benavidez. Crawford, you're coming up. Why don't you fight? Why don't you fight those two guys? They keep mentioning it. Now Canelo won't, and one of the reasons is because Benavidez is awesome, but also because Benavidez rehydrates a little bit, right? Like everybody else, like Canelo been doing his whole career. He rehydrates a little bit. That's one of the reasons he might come in here at 200 pounds. This is what Canelo says. So that's the reason he won't fight Benavidez. But there's a boxing site that was like, let's get the little dude who's already coming up 3 weight divisions. Let's make him fight the guy that Canelo won't fight. This is pathetic and desperate. It just reeks of desperation. Who would say something like that in daylight? You know what? You know who? A new Russian would. Because there's nothing pathetic anymore. There's nothing pathetic. You can say just anything. As long as it's saying something that's going in the direction of BTBG, no one cares. You can be doped. You can be unfair. You can cheat on your gloves. Just do it to a brother, and who gives a damn? You know, and it's just so obvious. It's not funny. I don't even know why I'm smiling, but it is what it is. You know, and then they expect you to not acknowledge it. Don't say nothing about it. Man, get out my damn face. So at the end of the day, right now, we're dealing with Fox News of Boxing saying that, well, Crawford's not going to win because, you know, he's inactive. Well, he is inactive. He is inactive. That is definitely something against him. There's a whole bunch of stuff against him. Canelo's awesomeness is against him. The fact that Canelo's not being dope test right now is against him. The fact that Canelo's bigger than him is going to convince him. The fact that Canelo is skilled is going to be against him. The fact that Canelo always has the judges on his side and he's the face of boxing is against him. His inactivity is against him, right? He's older than Canelo is against him. There ain't too much stuff going for Terence Crawford here. But he's going to take the challenge. Do you think Canelo would take with just 3 of those things a challenge against anybody else? He's not taking the challenge in his own weight division. He wouldn't take the challenge of Demetrius Andrade to become undisputed middleweight champion. I ain't taking that because I ain't fighting my mandatory in Jamal Charlo neither. I'd rather get a franchise title and run with it in the middle of the daylight in front of your face. So they would rather say that Terence Crawford is he's inactive. But here's what my thing is. White Supremacy 101. They won't excuse themselves or give Crawford props if he does do something this magnanimous. They're not going to do it. Let me give you an example. Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. We don't want them running Tom and Jerry. Now, that wasn't them, but they just repeated it. Tom and Jerry, Turkey's not going to like that. Now, let's get the ring smaller for Shakur Stevenson. He's not going to be able to run away from the power puncher and volume puncher in William Zepeda. He's not going to do this, and he's not going to do that. After he stood in the pocket and did that, there were no articles. Whoa, that is awesome, what we saw from Shakur Stevenson. Talking about how feather-fisted and light-fisted he is. He held a guy off in the pocket with those brittle hands, a la Floyd Mayweather. Brittle hands, but I'm going to win in the end, right? Brittle hands. But they're not brittle enough for you to just come on and just do something and win. That's just awesome. But did they come and say, here's a good, positive article about that guy, Shakur Stevenson, who we wasted all our time on talking about what he's not going to do against William Zepeda? No. 101, white supremacy. We're not ever apologizing for our despicable behavior because there's not a demand for it. And hey, we supply what's in demand. So at the end of the day, who gives a damn? Terence Crawford has won already as far as I'm concerned because the world knows what the boxing insiders think about this man now, before the Canelo Alvarez things. Not the racists, not the haters that are also racist, or not the people that got the house nig mentality that's using, trying to get paid to say negative things about the dude and don't care that that's really integrity's looking ridiculous. Those, all of those. But people that are just straight up saying, you know what, this guy, Terence Crawford, should be a massive, massive underdog against Canelo Alvarez if Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing and so good, as good as we've been saying he is. But that's not the case. And that's good for Terence Crawford. So damn Fox News of boxing or anybody else. Because the people that know what time it is, know what time it is. And me, Doma, and y'all, Doma Dynamites out there, y'all do too. So have a wonderful day, y'all. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And we up out of here, y'all.